Welcome back to the Scare Stuff Podcast. This is your host, Mike, and my co host, Scott. How are you doing today, buddy?
Angry.
Angry. I am also angry.
We were just talking about the Disney Plus releases, and a lot of them caused a huge bit of rage within me. Just purely because of Disney's animation department. I don't want to get into it too much. It's just Disney doesn't know what to do with animation anymore, which is bewildering to me.
Yeah.
At least the Tiana thing is cool. I look forward to that. But that is it. What was once the most prominent animation company on the earth now has a division with their Marvel division solely that just doesn't understand how to utilize the animated property, which is astounding. Detestable. Disgusting.
Sometimes I wonder if they know how to utilize the method of screenwriting either.
They don't have screenwriters. They have bots.
Pretty much.
They have AI.
At this point.
Yeah. How are you doing today?
I am also angry because I don't have my goddamn package, but it is what it is.
Yeah. Halloween 4. Halloween 4 is what we're fucking covering, man.
This movie's awesome.
This is good. This is the last good one. No.
That's not true.
Barely. It's barely not true.
Yeah, so we discussed into how the familial connection for the franchise was established there and continued on, and I was being an asshole about it and saying how much I don't really like the brother sister reveal, but I'm happy that it happens because of this movie.
Yeah. 4 capitalizes on a lot that 2 lays the groundwork for.
Yeah, it's a much better made movie, in my opinion. I think that the characters are more interesting. This is one of those movies where I could just throw this on any time of year, no matter what, and just enjoy watching it.
I saw you were looking at me to say something, and I was like, I'm not gonna say shit. I'm just gonna sit here and look at him and be like,
So much for a co-host.
No. A lot of things 2 lays the groundwork for on the 4th movie really gets capitalized. The whole family element doesn't work tremendously in 2 because it's just brought up as the last 5 minutes pretty much. Oh yeah, they're fucking family. Kill this bitch.
It feels like an afterthought too.
But 4, yes, he is hunting her down because he's part of his family, but that's the only motivation you really get behind Michael Myers, and it's good because it's not too much motivation. It's enough to lay the groundwork for a film, but he still is a faceless killer that you're just following, his carnage.
Yeah.
It's enough motivation to say, all right, this is a sequel, fine. But it's not too much to be like, okay, dude, why the fuck are you doing this? Which is what a lot of these sequels tend to do. And it's good. I really like 4 because it's simple. It's straightforward, it follows through with a lot of the stuff from the first movie, and it feels more of an individual project. The more stuff I see nowadays, it's like, oh, all those crappy Halloween sequels, blah, blah, blah. And it's a lot of people looking at things retroactively because of sometimes the 2018 film came out, or just looking at horror sequels in general from like the 80s, like just being a waste of time. And I really don't think it's fair, especially for this film. It isn't... it's not like The fucking Shining. It's not like a super crafted, time put into it for days on end, long procedure, but it's a good movie. It is. It's fun. It's lighthearted. It sets the mood if you're going to have a good time on Halloween. You put it on in the background. You hand out candy, hang out with some friends and family. Like, I love this movie for that. I thought because when I watched it maybe 2 years ago, or no, last year on Halloween when I was carving pumpkins, I was like, it's nothing that special, it's just fine. Because I wasn't paying attention, I was carving pumpkins. But this time, when I'm watching the movie, I'm like, no, this is just fun. This is just a good time. There's nothing aggressively bad about it. Some things can be cliched, but cliche does not mean bad. It just means it's a formula. And this formula may be done to death, but it's not on the nose or too in your face in this film. And most importantly, the best thing about this film is the characters. Characters of the first film, they suffer, besides obviously Laurie and Loomis. Most of the characters are just background characters. They don't amount to much. You and I this past week went on a tirade about, I said, fucking hate Tommy Doyle. fuck this guy. Every movie he's in, he nearly ruins. He's just a background character. Like, Scott, he's not a background character, he's a supporting character. And I'm like, but is that good? In the first movie, is it good he's a supporting character?
Yeah.
But in this film, the supporting characters matter. Like, they're fun. You like all these characters. Even the people you're not supposed to like when they die, you're like, I mean, yeah, they're dead, but I'm still interested in this film. Not all of them. There's still people that are fucking assholes, but...
Speak for yourself. Because there is... Fuck Brady, dude.
I never liked Brady. I've always thought Brady was an asshole. Well,
when I was a kid, I always forget some of the stuff with Brady, and I just remember he's like, oh, well, he's gonna save Rachel and Jamie. He's gonna protect them, to distract Michael while they go up the stairs. But he was trying to leave with Rachel and just leave Jamie for dead. So he's still an asshole.
Yeah, Brady sucks.
Yeah, I mean. I always used to remember being like, oh, well, he's not that bad. He's a dumb teenager. He made a mistake. But when he's like, do you think she survived? It's just like, what, dude? It's a fucking 6-year-old girl. Like, come on, man. You're such a piece of shit. But the central relationship of the movie, though, between Rachel and Jamie is really strong. Is it, one of the most deeply written stories or interactions ever? No, but it is enough to connect these characters together well, and also it's well performed by Ellie Cornell and Daniel Harris. They have great chemistry. You believe them as sisters, and you believe that Rachel would be there to protect her sister.
It's a good enough of a development to continue the story. Like, you feel like it's not just some bullshit thrown in here where it's like, all right, we got to take our time off of this, or like, we got to stop paying attention to Michael Myers because these fucking people got to hang out. Like, we want to hang out with Rachel and
Jamie.
We want to hang out with them. We want to have a good time. We like them spending time together.
Yeah.
So what happens at the end of the film with Jamie has more of an impact to it. It doesn't feel like you're wasting your time like with other relationships in the franchise. You're like, God, get these fuckers off my screen.
I will say, literally any character in Resurrection.
Yeah. Bringing up Brady, worst character in 4, right? We'll agree on this.
Yeah, I probably say that. I mean, the doctor at the beginning who's just talking shit about Loomis. He's also fucking stupid.
Yeah, but he dies, doesn't he?
No, he should.
He dies.
He should.
Michael walks back, says, I heard him. He dies.
You don't talk shit about my doctor.
Like, hey,
only I can hurt my doctor.
Hey, yeah, he's right, though. I will kill him. He's bald, but you die. So Michael says before he kills him. It's the only thing he says ever in this franchise. He says, you die.
You die now.
You die.
Goodbye.
But I'll retroactively, we'll talk about, for the first 3 movies, we didn't do this. Who's the worst character per film?
Brady.
No, I mean, like, the first 3 films, worst characters. We're going to go with the worst character and best character. So when we finish off these films, I want to say, what do you think is the overall best character and overall worst? Worst character in the first one, Tommy Doyle. Fuck that loser.
Linda.
I
Totally. No, I mean, I like them all, though. Like, I don't mind any of the characters. I don't think any of them are actually
aggressively
bad. None of them are bad. But
yeah,
Linda...
we get candy!
Awesome. Fantastic performance. One of the best Law & Order I've ever heard. The fact that he didn't get nominated for an Oscar, absolute snub. But I like all the characters in the first movie, but I guess Linda gets on my nerves the most. But
it's not that bad.
It's really only in one scene, and that's when she's doing the whole like I always forgot my books.
I hate.
But
that.
it fades out. The audio fades out. Not as much as I wish it would.
Yeah, it should be more faded than the other dialogue from Lori should be a little bit louder, because I'm hearing this bitch talk about her books way too much, and this is getting to be a lot.
Yeah, the whole totally thing doesn't annoy me that much, but again, the characters in the first movie.
Best character in the first one is Loomis.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say that's pretty easy. Okay, second film, worst character.
The goody nurse.
Yeah.
I guess.
I would say that the dude who goes in the hot tub, he can be a bit.
Whoa. You leave old Bud alone.
Oh, hey, buddy.
There. Suck my balls, buddy. No.
Okay, I don't think so. This is not going to be a ball sucking moment on this podcast, buddy.
No,
Bud's a piece of shit.
Bud's awesome. Shut up.
No, fuck Bud. So, best character in 2, Ben Tramer.
It's Jimmy. No.
No.
It's. I mean,
Imagine
it's
fucking
still
getting a
Loomis.
concussion and dying. You know, Jimmy might be the worst character. What a fucking loser.
Yeah, I mean, he's not supposed to be dead, but for some reason they just decided, oh,
Yeah.
we can't let him come back. You know, best character is Loomis. Still.
Yeah. So 3 best characters, obviously Tom Atkins' character.
Or
Worst
Colin
character is the
Cochran,
fucking
honestly.
robots, man. Those robots. I know they're not characters, but every second on screen, like, dude. Okay. Worst character in 3, then. That's an actual character.
Kid.
The kid?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's whatever. Worst character in 4 is Brady.
Brady, by far.
Best character is Daniel Harris's Jamie. To me. I
See,
love
for me,
Jamie.
it's really tough.
You gonna say Rachel?
I'm stuck between Jamie, Rachel, and Loomis. Those are all really good.
Loomis has some good lines in 5.
This is one of my favorite Loomis performances.
He is good.
I love.
I
him
like
in this,
his
especially at the end.
His line with when he's talking to the priest in the car.
I love the
Armageddon.
fucking priest, dude.
He's
Oh
funny.
my god, dude, Sayer is so good. I fucking love it.
Yep.
In the
I
original
can tell
script for it,
you've seen it. Armageddon.
he was supposed to have a much larger role in the movie. He was supposed to be Crazy Ralph,
Oh really?
like a Doomsayer character. I mean, he kind of is, but he's.
I
more
think
of
it
a-
works better with him having a smaller role.
Yeah, he was supposed to die
I'm glad he didn't.
later on in the movie, but yeah, I love Sayer, and I love the scene with Loomis and him. But for me, the final shot of Loomis in the movie is some of the best acting that he did in that role. His just pure terror and just he's horrified because he's like, oh my god, the nightmare continues. I thought it was over, and it's just gonna continue with this little girl.
His performance when you consider the sequels, as he just kind of unrails and then kind of gets wrapped
He gets back to
up.
it in 6. Yeah, in 6 he's back
It's
to
really
being
crazy to see how this character has gone through so much, and we'll get more into it in 5 and 6, but the stepping stones for Loomis as he kind of changes and alters is really interesting to see from film.
He's absolutely batshit in 5.
It works so well though.
He's out of his fucking mind.
Like you would think that this man would be out of his mind after what happens in 4.
Oh, 100%. It's just wildly entertaining, but
Yeah.
like he's also a piece of shit.
I love his line where he goes like, "I wanted Michael to burn in hell, but I knew hell would not have him." So
Yeah,
good.
Fire, absolute fire.
So good.
Sometimes there's one of a few moments in 5 that's good. But yeah, no, I'm really stuck between Rachel, Jamie, and Loomis. I would probably go with. I might go with Rachel.
That's fair.
She's one of my favorite final girls.
I personally prefer Jamie's performance in 5 over 4.
I
I
agree.
think as a performance, hers in 5 is better. Is the film better? Ho ho.
No.
Tune in next week. But still, like, she's so good in these movies. As a child actor, like, it's
Yeah.
amazing.
She's great. She's one of the best parts of the Rob Zombie ones too.
Yep. We will definitely talk about that sometime.
But yeah, no, I think that largely again another movie where largely a lot of the characters I really like.
Yeah.
So also, I mean, like another character that I really like, not that I would say it's in contention with like Rachel, Jamie, and Loomis, but I love Sheriff Meeker.
Oh, I totally agree. Meeker's so good.
He is arguably, I mean, he's
He's better than Brackett.
He's better than Brackett. 100%.
Yeah. I knew you were going with that. I was like, no, Meeker is better than Brackett. Meeker is way
it's
better.
like how quickly he just says, "I'm on board. Let's get this done."
Yeah.
Like it's
I have so much I want to
it's
say
like
about
with-
5, but I just
when
gotta
we get
wait.
to 5, it's just like him being this good. It's the same thing with Rachel. Like him being this good in this movie makes 5 so infuriating.
I know, like it. The toughest thing is talking about 4 is gonna lead into 5, and you're like,
It's
man,
because it's so like intrinsically tied to it because of
Yeah.
the way that the movie was made, because they rushed it into a development to release it the next year.
and it sucks because like they call it the Thorn trilogy, 4, 5, and 6.
5 is
But 6 is so detached from 4 and 5, really.
well, it's like 5 is nothing happens in 5. that really pushes Michael's stories forward, which is
Yeah.
the whole point about this trilogy, is that it pushes Michael's story forward. Arguably, 4 doesn't even really
No.
do anything. It's 6 does all of it.
Yeah.
5 introduces the idea of the thorn curse, which we'll talk about when we get to 5. But
Yeah.
5 is where they actually introduce the idea of the trilogy, and the only reason why 4 is included in that is because it's the movie that immediately precedes it and has characters that carry on forward.
Because 4 and 5, they're true to each other. They're
tied
contained
intrinsically.
films. Like
There's
you
such a
can't
time
have
gap
5 without
between-
4, and it's a full follow through. This is where the story's going. 6, it technically is attached to each other, but like
The time
nothing-
disparagement between them
like
is too much.
oh my god, I guess it's so hard to not talk about these other films, but
Yeah.
4 is awesome. Most importantly, the setting in 4 is really good.
Yeah.
Haddonfield feels like a real place again.
Also, like moving from Pasadena
Yeah.
to Salt Lake City, Utah, the visual palette and the even like you can feel the fall energy of the film that really draws it into this Halloween feeling. That as much as I love, I adore the first movie, I like to, but they're filmed in California, and if you're paying attention, you know it. Like if you've seen the movie a bunch of times, you notice, hey, there's green on the trees. These shouldn't be here. And with this, it is a cold environment. Like when towards the finale, when they're on top of that slate roof, you can see frost. You see them, the steam escaping their mouth while they're breathing. Like you can tell it's really cold, and the leaves have fallen. It's very, very cold and really good looking. Like the opening establishing shots of this movie, I would watch as like an 8-hour loop for ambiance. So you just put it on in the background.
That's what I was gonna say. Like, not to detract from the original film because it's a fantastic film, but in this film you don't have to fake the atmosphere. The atmosphere is already there, and that works so well for it. Another thing we got to talk about for the film that we haven't yet is Michael Myers' mask. 2 is a bit more detached, but it feels like it's the same mask. This is when things are like, hey, we're changing the masks every movie.
Yeah.
And they changed the mask in this movie.
Yeah, I wouldn't go as far as to say that this is the worst mask in the series.
No.
Because I don't think it's that bad. And especially in on this rewatch, I actually like it more than I did before. So I would say it's not my favorite mask or anything, but I don't think it's bad. I don't think it's even one iota as bad as 5's.
I was going to have this mask for the podcast. I wanted to buy one of the Halloween masks. I'm like, you know what? I'd say 4. Besides the original one, 4 is my favorite. So I'll get this one. Everyone would have the original one. I want to be a little bit different. This mask is stupid and it's goofy. My girlfriend hates it, which makes me like it more. This is funny. And I wanted to get this mask. But unfortunately, they lost the mask and shipping. I got a full refund, so, it is what it is. But don't have it for the podcast. But as an artist, as a designer, which I went to school for, high school and college, this shit fucking sucks. Like, they wanted to make it look as faceless and blank as possible, and I understand that. And in the movie, for most of it, it works. When he's shadowed, it looks faceless, like there's nothing behind the mask. But some shots are so bad, that's the ones you think of. When I think of this mask, I think of him in the bedroom when the lights turn on, and I'm like, yo, get that shit out of my face.
See, I don't think that shot looks nearly as bad as some of the other ones.
Really? Which one, some of the ones you think are the worst?
Well, the one when the door flies open and he's holding the knife, I think it looks worse than that one.
Okay, that's fair.
Personally, I was waiting for it because I was like, you said like, yeah, man. When they got to that point where when he sat up and the lightning flash, wow, that looked bad. And I'm like, oh wow, okay. So I sat down and I watched and I'm like, that doesn't look that bad, man. Like I don't think it really looks that bad.
To me, it's all personal. You know what I mean? I can understand that. I
So,
just think
I
looks
think
so
the mask-
fucking hokey.
I
It
think one
ruins
of the
the
more
tension in the
hokier-
film to me.
I think one of the more hokier moments is when he's up on top of the roof.
Yeah.
Because it's like
I'll definitely bite that.
you have the weird looking, like the mask is so blank, but he also standing with his shoulders up like this, and it just looks really goofy. Yeah, I think
I
that's
think it's
worse.
just with the mask, his proportions look weird. His body
Yeah.
in general, like,
Well, it's kind of crazy because it's like I'm not gonna I can't blame George P. Wilbur for it
yeah.
because he's the Michael Myers in Six, and he looks great in Six. So
You know, you've gone on record before, on record, like it's a fucking interview. No, but you've said before, like, Six is your favorite mask.
yeah,
Do you feel that way? You haven't watched the movie again yet, have you?
I haven't rewatched it yet.
I hate his hair. His hair is so stupid.
Oh yeah,
The hair in it, it's like it's kind of like spiked up. I'm like, dude, whose idea was this shit? He looks like a fucking like he's going to a goddamn Sex Pistols concert right now. I can't get over it. It pisses me off. But the actual design and sculpt of the mask is fantastic.
yeah. The sculpt is wonderful, and the way that they light it, it really looks sinister and scary.
I will say, but the biggest problem to that mask is just the hair. I think the sculpt is great.
Yeah, I have to go. I have to rewatch it still.
Even,
I still like. I've seen pictures of it recently and been like, oh, it's not that bad. Like I noticed it more. The hair is weird, but like again, like we'll talk about it when we get to five. But like,
yeah.
I would take that over receding hairline ass fucking bulbous forehead Michael Myers.
So
Like,
I think the biggest problem with that mask in 5 is just that, like, it's too big. Like, the mask is big. It doesn't fit his neck very well. It shoots out.
I think the sculpt of it, the way that the facial structure for it looks horrible.
It's weird, but I don't think it bothers me as much as, like, some of the masks in H2O are really bad.
Well, yeah. Oh, yeah.
There's obviously the CGI one.
The CGI mask doesn't count. That's
even
bad.
disregarding that, some of those masks are like, wow, this is bad.
I think if I remember correctly, like the opening, we'll get to H2O, but the opening scene of that movie, he's wearing the Six mask.
He is, yeah.
And then they have their Stan Winston designed mask, which is the one that has the gigantic fucking eye holes that are suction come to his face so you can see his eyes. I think that's the Stan Winston mask. And that's just the one that he's wearing when he looks through the window at Laurie, that one's really bad. So.
It's so weird. I mean, looking retroactively after all these films, I would still say the first one is easily the best mask still.
Oh, 100%. Although I'll tell you what, recency bias definitely exists.
2018?
The Kills mask, dude.
Oh, really? You like that one that much?
I fucking love it.
It's cool.
I was rewatching it. I rewatched it for a third time because I showed it to our buddy James. I rewatched it, and just the way that it's lit in every scene, man, he just looks so fucking angry and scary. It looks with the singe and the burn next to it, he looks even more demonic and evil.
I just have always preferred it as a blank slate white, but I definitely see that point of view. I can understand why you like the Kills one a lot.
I wouldn't say it's
it.
my. I still wouldn't say it's my favorite. I'm just, but it's definitely one that's up there for me now.
I can see that.
Really good. I would say that the first one is. I think most people like the sixth one's my favorite. I would say the best is 1.
Yeah.
But like you're not going to beat the original.
Yeah.
Although the 2018 mask is really good.
It is. I think the 2018 one's really good.
It's the closest I think approximation you can get to it without legal issues.
If you said my favorite is different than the best designed, as a like artistic design wise, I would say the first one is the best.
Yes, the best.
But 2018 would be the second best, just based on what they're trying to go for. The atmosphere of the film, I think it lends itself very well to it.
The Kills flashback one's really good too.
If I was gonna buy one, I would have liked to get 4, just because I personally like that movie and it is fucking stupid, and it'd be really fun to walk around like, "What's up, assholes?" wearing that mask. But
I think it's kind of cool because we're talking about the mask for 4, but there's 2 masks and there's 3 masks in the movie.
Yeah.
Because if you count the bandage wrapped head, I fucking love that look. But one of the YouTubers I watch for horror content, Drum Dums, he had somebody made like a bust head and made that mask for him. I want that. That's cool.
I would have liked it more. If this was the mask for the entire film, I'd be like, you guys, you did a genius idea. Because he dies in the fire in 2. If that mask melted onto his face and they put wraps around his face because he's still so burnt up, if that's how he looked in that film, I'd be like, you guys You guys made Mummy Myers and it looks fantastic. If it stayed like
I would
that,
have loved that.
that'd be a fantastic design.
I get why they didn't do that, but I would have loved to see that. The other mask is used in one scene, and it's the pink mask with the blonde hair. It's only in the school scene.
Yeah.
And honestly, when I watched this movie for the first time, I don't know how I didn't ever notice it. I just wasn't paying attention to it. But when someone pointed it out in one of the documentaries I watched, they're like, "Yeah, they fucked up and they got a pink mask and with blonde hair, and we didn't have time to get another one, so we just threw it on and said, well, we'll figure it out in post or whatever." And I'm like, then I went back and I watched it, and I'm like, how did I miss this? It's so obviously pink and blonde. Like it looks really goofy and funny. But
it's funny. There's so many different masks that they go through with these films. You think it'd be like a really easy thing to get right, and they're like, nah, we fuck up a lot.
Yeah, like every movie is different, and it's kind of amazing. Like I get like sometimes like directors come in and they want to do their own thing and they want to redesign Michael from the ground up, but
yeah,
I get why they can't use the first mask or even the second mask
legally,
because Halloween 2 is owned by Universal, or was made, produced by and distributed by Universal, so they may not have the rights to that mask.
Yeah,
so you have to change it for 4. It's just like what you do 4 and then you do 5, and it's just like he fell down a mine shaft and his mask completely changed.
It's so funny.
It's just
because
so
it follows immediately after.
Yeah, like they show you the recap of him in that mask, and I was like, why didn't you just reshoot that scene?
Dude, it's really funny. Like, I love the idea that like he fucking fell down this mine shaft, and as he like hits his head, like his face and mask just deforms and stretches. It makes no sense, but it's like a cartoon. Like it just got fucking stretched out.
Yeah.
So
well, we'll get to 5's mask, but
yeah.
5 when we talked about 5, but it's just weird to me that like every single time like Trank-ass makes these movies, 4 and 5 are both technically, I believe, independent movies.
Mm-hmm.
So like they could just use the same mask, and they just don't. They redesign the mask.
I don't get it. But
it looks so goofy.
It's cool to have different choices. Some people might like the 5 mask, a lot of people might hate it, but it's cool that people have different choices. Like there's fucking like almost 8 different Jason masks. Some people like some people don't like other ones, but you have choices. Yeah. It's nice to have people just say like, I like this one. That's cool. I don't. I prefer this one. That's pretty neat. Having enough decisions to go around, enough choices makes things feel more individual, and I like that. Some of them I would not artistically want to be in my movie, but at the end of the day, they did it. They put it in their movie, and it is what it is. And if some people are cool with that, that's fine. I think when I was younger, I thought 4's mask was fucking god-awful. Nowadays, it's the one I want to buy and put on my shelf, so that's pretty neat. I like the way that works sometimes. Is it more nostalgia sometimes than it is about the craft of the mask? Absolutely, but I'm okay with that.
It's kind of funny too. One of the things I definitely wanted to touch on is this movie had a couple different drafts before it came to the movie that we got.
Yep.
2 of them in particular stick out in my brain. One of them is that it's set after 2, and Michael Myers comes back and Loomis is back, if I remember correctly. Main characters are Lindsay Wallace and Tommy Doyle as teenagers.
I can't tell you how nice it is to know that didn't happen.
Halloween is banned in Haddonfield, so we're doing some Footloose,
which is what happened in 6.
Yeah, but Teens Rebel, all that shit. But local drive-in runs a horror movie marathon, and like in this town, like Halloween merchandise is treated like drugs. It's like they're side selling it.
That is so fucking stupid.
Halloween candy, Halloween costumes, masks. You like get a little bit of this, a little bit of that.
It sounds sell them like so drug of deals. Its time though. Like this is a fucking smart idea. You're right, Tom. Let's do it.
Yeah, well, you get to the end of the movie and they're at a drive-in. The only part of the movie that sounds cool, honestly, but like they're at this drive-in, Tommy and Lindsay, and Michael shows up and slaughters everybody at the drive-in. The body count's like over 100. It's ridiculous. But Loomis, I think it was Loomis and like Sheriff Brackett, they all show up, or Hunt. I think it might have been Hunt. Hunt comes back, and they show up.
Him.
I do. But they show up and they start gunning Michael down. Fucker grows to 16 feet tall.
Why?
They don't explain it. They never explain
Why?
this. And it's so fucking funny. It's so fucking funny.
Is he fucking Ultraman? Like,
No. He's Hulk from the 2003 Hulk movie. He just gets shot and he just grows bigger. Yeah, that I can't remember exactly how the movie just like
I
completely
can't
ends.
believe they
But
didn't make
it's
this
funny.
movie.
Well, it's like John. This is what John Carpenter wanted to do
Oh, fucking goddamn
because he
it.
he didn't want to make another like just like serial killer slasher movie. He wanted to be at least different. And
Oh, man.
yikes! But the one of the other ones that they did in between was Lori is not dead. Lori moves to Chicago and becomes a magazine mogul, kind of like a semi-prominent person in like a magazine industry. So she's a yuppie, well-to-do woman of the 80s. And Michael shows up to Chicago and runs down a bunch of people in a fucking standing outside for a movie. And the movie that's on the board is Halloween 4. So it's meta. But
It's so fucking stupid.
yeah, but it's actually not. It's not that it's too similar to what we got, but there's things in this that are like what we got. Like I believe there's a niece, but she's actually an adult, I think, and there's a kid, and he's after her and the kid and all that stuff. Like there's stuff that you kind of see where that was picked up and moved and put into 4.
It's astounding they never recasted Laurie Strode.
Yeah,
You know, like, when you think about that in this
I'm glad
time
they
period,
didn't.
like,
I'm glad they didn't.
yeah, no, 100%. That's
But-
why, you know, she's so iconic in the role with Jamie Lee, but it's just astounding to think in this time period they're like, yeah, we're just gonna kill her off and not try to recast her. I just find that so bewildering, and that in the 80s, that's such a prevalent thing that would happen.
Well, it seems like what the point was like. It's like leaving the door open in case Jamie wants to come back.
Yeah.
And one of the prime reasons why the yuppie version of Halloween 4 didn't happen was because they knew they weren't getting her back. So yeah, there's some weird shit that was the journey to get to this movie. And they came in, they're just like, hey, let's just make a fucking Halloween movie.
It makes me feel like such like a little like emotional pussy boy when I think about it would have been so nice to have like Jamie Lee and Daniel Harris have like a reunited scene in a movie of them being like mother and daughter, and I'm like, there's nothing that would ever make this happen.
Yeah.
There's no reason that Jamie Lee Curtis would be like, yeah, I want to be intrinsically linked to Halloween 4, 5, and 6. But
Yeah.
like me as a fan would like, I wish that Jamie got that. She got to see her mom.
Yeah.
But
The fact that the only reason why this movie did not hit direct to video is because of Jamie Lee Curtis.
yeah.
Because after 6, they were like, yeah, we're gonna make a direct to video movie, and then they're like, Jamie Lee's like, I'll do it one for a 20-year anniversary. Let's go, boys. And they're like, okay, bump that budget up, guys. So
You're lucky.
yeah, they're. Although you would argue you'd watch Halloween 5 and be like, how is this not a direct to video movie?
Yeah.
But yeah, the Halloween franchise has had a that book, the Taking Shape 2, very informative on some of the weird ass shit that they wanted to do, man.
It's funny, like, you may say, like, hey, you guys talk about loving Halloween 4, but you jump around the place, but that's because 4 is such, like, a mishmash of, this is when the series changes, and it starts going with an actual route in a direction, for good or for bad, and a lot of things kind of line up into this movie where it's like, this leads to 5 and 6. This also talks about, you know, the first movie and the second one, and parting away from that. This is immediately after the third, which is supposed to be an anthology. So this film is kind of like a climax in the franchise.
It's when it's where they realize what the franchise really was.
Yeah, and there's so much going on when you want to talk about this film that, like, that's why we are jumping around between film, between this, between that, because that's just how this film lays out in the history of Halloween. That's also why it's so cool, though. Like, that's why, is this film amazing? Yes.
Yes.
No, but
Yes.
there's so much to think about when it came out and how much of a process it was to get it. You go through all that history, you're like, I'm so glad we got what we got. You know, it's so nice to know this is the film we got, and this is the relationships in the film, and I have a lot of personal nostalgia and just love because of this movie.
Yeah.
Does 5 fuck it up? Tune in next week. But
Well, that's also kind of one of the things you kind of just said it in passing that's really important about this movie and its sequel is the nostalgic attachment that we have to it.
yeah.
Yeah, it's not like we grew up with this movie, or maybe you did. I didn't grow up with it, but in like late middle school, maybe like late middle school, I used to watch AMC Fear Fest, and I was hanging out with we have a mutual friend Jason, and we just threw on Halloween during October, threw on the Fear Fest during October. We just because he loves horror movies, he's always wanted to make horror movies with me and with you, and we just love the genre, and we just threw it on, and I'd never seen Halloween 4.
A little fun fact about Jason, he does the ending song for the outro for this podcast.
Yeah.
So that's a little neat thing. Jason's still very big into music, and love him for that. Very helpful with me, and always has been very good at constructing stuff, and always fun to talk to about horror as well.
Hell yeah. But we watched this for the first time. I watched this for the first time, a double bill of this, Halloween 4 and 5 back to back with Jason, and I'd never experienced Halloween 4 before, but I was sitting there watching it and being like, wow, this is like really fucking cool.
Yeah.
Like,
we used to go to his
good.
house to watch a lot of horror films. I know that I've put on 4 and 5 in his living room before we'd watch them, especially 4, 5. I don't know how many times we watched the first one there, but those two I watched a lot with him because I grew up, because like you said, AMC used to throw on the fucking horror films all the time. I would watch 5 the most because they played that all the fucking time for some reason when I was younger, but 4 also occasionally. So those two films have a huge fucking nostalgia factor for me.
It's because no one else wants the rights to 5.
Yes. So 4, 5, and the first Friday, honestly, I'd see a lot on TV. The other Fridays, I bought the DVDs. I went out and I would not watch them on TV. I went out of my way to say I'm gonna watch this myself.
It's really funny because the first Jason related and first Freddy and Jason related movie I ever saw was Freddy vs. Jason. So that was my introduction to Jason, and that's kind of why I was never really interested in him as a kid.
The first time I saw Jason, I think I was 10, and I watched Jason Goes to Hell because I rented it. But after that, I bought.
It's amazing. It's amazing. It's amazing that you became a Friday the 13th fan with that kind of an introduction.
I only watched the first 10 minutes. I never finished. I watched it. I was like, that's kind of cool, I guess, because when I was a kid, I had the mask that conformed to the hockey mask, like the skin.
Yep.
So it was ironic that that's the one I rented. I didn't mean it to be, but I was like, oh, that's like the costume I had. But I went and bought the other movies. I'm like, okay, this shit's actually good though. So
Yeah.
I don't have a huge lot of nostalgia for a lot of other slasher characters besides Michael and Jason. As far as Nightmare goes, I didn't start getting into Nightmare until I was into my teenage years. So it's a little bit different.
I watched Halloween at a very young age, so I was engaged with this. So when I got to Halloween 4, I'm just like, wow, this is really cool. I saw I saw Halloween 4. No, I saw Halloween Resurrection before I saw Halloween 4.
That sucks.
Yeah, I was just sitting down.
You know what? I was wrong though. I saw Friday vs. Jason before I saw Jason Goes. I saw that when I was 5.
Yeah.
I saw it because my mom was watching, and she's like, "What's that? You want to check it out?" I'm like, "I'm 5. I'll watch anything. It's the TV." And I was like,
"Yeah,
fuck is what?"
I remember I watched Resurrection when I was younger, and I watched it with my sister and my dad. My dad walked in while I was watching it, and we had this running joke where we'd be in the house. I'd be talking about Halloween, be like, "Was Busta Rhymes in that one?"
That's fucked up, man.
Dad's like, "Yeah, Busta Rhymes is the best, man. Busta Rhymes is the best. He's karate kicking Michael Myers, awesome shit." And I'm like, "Dad, shut the fuck up."
I am not gonna talk about Resurrection until we get to it.
We'll get there, but yeah, we had a running joke about that. But yeah, 4 is lit, dude. I love 4.
I joke about it being the last good entry. It's not, but It's the last time Halloween felt something special to me, I feel like, as far as the original series.
Yeah, four is really cool because it's very in step with the original.
Yeah.
You know, it's very similar in that regard. It's got a higher body count, so it braces some of the stuff from the 80s,
Yeah.
but mostly the violence is bloodless,
Yeah.
like the original.
Like, he gets like, Brady gets stabbed with a gun. You don't see him
No, he
bleed.
gets his head crushed.
Oh, no, the girlfriend gets stabbed with a gun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She gets stabbed with a gun. Like there's blood, but it's not like, you know, Friday the 13th.
No blood. There's not much blood. There's no nudity in it.
There's no nudity. Yeah, that was one of the things that like I was like I can't remember if they edited the brief sexual related material out of the movie for the AMC Fear Fest ones, but like I'm sitting there watching, I'm like, maybe I saw everything. Like I thought to myself, like, oh, it's edited for TV or something, but no, like they really just did not embrace nudity in the movie, and that's fine.
Yeah, it doesn't change the film.
Yeah, it's fine.
Doesn't change the film. I go, fuck, damn it, why?
Yeah, it's just it's really I describe this as a comfort movie.
100%.
Yeah, I just throw this on and be like,
Nothing is more comfortable than killing teenagers when they don't expect it.
okay, Scott, I'm calling the police.
They're next.
Yeah, no, I throw this on. You know, I said earlier, you know, I could just throw this on any time and just enjoy myself and, you know, be sucked into, you know, the autumn feel and the score's awesome. I love what Alan Howarth did with this. It's the only Halloween vinyl I owned at this time. I just freaking love what he did with this, especially with the opening. Like the movie doesn't start with the Halloween theme. It doesn't start with the pumpkin. You know, it starts with this oppressive, these shots of these like dead farms because it's obviously fall, and this like wind, leaves rustling, this like low synth score. It's very, very it puts you right in the mood for it instantly. It's really cool, and I just love the way that this movie's shot. I think that, you know, they use blue light a lot, but it makes everything feel really cold, and I love that because that's something that the first two movies don't have.
I agree. I think we've pretty much gone on about like all the best things in this film, the things to watch it.
One thing I did want to say though, because we were talking about before about like Jason teleports like in earlier episodes. Michael teleports onto a fucking truck in this movie. I'm convinced. I don't give a fuck what anybody says. Oh, he's hanging on the back of the truck. He's hanging out underneath. He's not hanging out underneath the fucking truck.
Yeah.
He just appears on the truck as it's moving. I love that sequence. I think it's really fun and funny, but it is...
The funniest thing about that is just the fact that, like, he's clearly fucking punching people and throwing them off, and they just don't feel it at all in the car.
Yeah, no. Well, the one that gets me is like, oh, well, he just throws a guy over the side. Like, maybe he didn't feel that. When the tailgate drops down, you know, like, I've been in a truck, not while it's moving, when the tailgates come down, you feel the truck move.
The trunk would fucking shake, man.
Yeah, so it's like I feel
just
like
him getting up on the truck, you'd be like, why is the truck doing this?
Yeah, it's really funny. But I like that sequence. It's one of the only sequences like it has like actual like explicit on-screen violence because it's with the neck tear, which by the way still looks fucking awesome. It's still really good makeup, man. Yeah, dude, fucking so good. I like that finale a lot.
It's fun.
All the way down to the end when, you know, where Rachel finally gets gets him off the car and she hits him with the car and they fucking gun him down relentlessly. They cut away before they drop a stick of dynamite in the fucking mine shaft.
I like even when Jamie goes out to like reach for his hand and stuff.
Pull his hand. You know, for some reason I was sitting there this time watching it and I'm expecting, oh, this is where they're gonna reveal the thorn tattoo.
Yeah, which they definitely don't because it didn't exist.
Yeah, so it's just like, okay, all right. I was expecting, for some reason I'm like, oh, this is where they kind of hinted the thorn idea. Nope, you don't find out about that till 5. So. But the big thing though is the ending of the movie.
Well, her reaching out to Michael really is the big foreshadowing to.
Yeah, it's the whole idea that maybe.
I mean, what we've already talked. I mean, we haven't really spoiled that much of the movie, so maybe best not to give away the finale at this point. But,
yeah,
you know, it's awesome.
Well, let's just say it's a really, really shocking finale,
Yeah.
The way it's performed by everybody is great. Especially like I know this time around, no super duper crazy context, but when they gather at the end at the bottom of the stairs, I this time instead of looking at Loomis, instead of looking at Meeker, I looked at Rachel. Ellie Cornell's performance is really fucking good. Really fucking good. But Loomis, possibly my favorite performance moment from Loomis is the finale. Love
That's
it.
fair.
Yeah. The last thing I'll say about the ending is it's wonderful how it just ends, and it's like super duper
Downer.
It's a ballsy ending.
It is. Very unapologetic ending.
5 doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Throws it all away. It's kind of like honestly kind of like not the same context, but it kind of reminds me of like the whole like kind of tease at the end of the final chapter for Friday.
Yeah.
Which is like, hey, something bad might happen, and then it doesn't happen.
They definitely stole that from Friday.
Yeah. Yeah.
Friday came out first.
84.
Yeah. I no offense, I kind of like the way that they do throw it out, because I like the fact that it kind of bridges a line about what Jamie is going to be.
I'm glad they don't go with that. I do think it could have been interesting if they went with that. It would be a different kind of thing. It would be a different choice instead of following the same kind of formula. But it is just kind of funny. Like everyone was like really jazzed up about that ending, and then Othen and Gerard's just like, hey,
yeah,
I don't give a fuck, dude. Fuck you. So
yeah, I mean, like I was gonna say before, this pretty much covers a lot of.
This movie rocks, man. This is a yearly Halloween watch.
Yeah,
I'll watch this every year.
I will always go back to usually. I would say, at this point, if I was gonna go back, I'd watch 3 Halloween films: the first one, the fourth one, and probably the 2018 one.
So it's kind of funny because because you and I saw Halloween 2018 in an early screening, and I just adored it. I was in heaven, and I automatically shot it up to being my second favorite Halloween film. Mm-hmm. And I texted you immediately after I finished 4, and I said to myself, 4 might be back to being 2 again. One of the things we didn't talk about, which we can just briefly touch on because it's important to why, the pacing of this movie.
Perfect.
You blink and 20 minutes is gone.
Yeah.
And you're invested the whole time.
You're not wasting any time, and that's the
it's
biggest
all
problem
killer,
with
no
modern
filler.
filmmaking. Modern filmmaking, you feel like things are so dragged out, or you're getting so much more than you need. And it's like, come on, man. And I don't dislike 2018, but sometimes I do feel like, where are we going with this? Can we just keep going? Can we just wrap this up now?
2018's biggest problem is that like sometimes they deal with these comedic moments that like you could just remove, and it changes nothing about the movie.
Yeah.
Not that you should have to do that every time. Like sometimes comedy's just fine to have in there. Like you don't have to.
Yeah.
Not every movie has to be like consistently. The only thing that can happen in each scene is moving the plot forward. I don't need that all the time.
It's not Hollywood. I mean, not Hollywood. Sorry, it's not Halloween 2018's fault. It's just Hollywood's modern filmmaking. Is that when you're getting so many films that are like this, you're like, we're just not getting the diversity in film where things can just end. We're not getting the diversity in film where things have different pacings or things can go at a different point where, hey, we're going to keep it more focused. There's so many subplots or so many different things we have connected into this. It's like, dude,
we're setting up stuff for the next movie.
Yeah, and like, I understand the why and the purpose. I'm not an idiot. I know what you're doing. But at the same time, like, you're really harming my possibility to feel attached to this singular film. And I want to like a film, not a franchise. I already like the Halloween franchise. If I'm going to like Halloween Kills, it's not going to be because you did stuff in the original 2018 one. I'm going to like these films separately. So don't try to make everything, oh, this and this, blah, blah, blah. Hey, man, a focused, continued story is good. Keep it focused.
I concur. I think that's pretty important, and I think that the reason why that this movie works as well as it does is that every moment it continues and continues and continues and continues, and all the sequences are well directed, engaging. The editing moves at a fast clip. It's a shorter movie.
Yeah,
it's like 85 minutes or something. And like the next one's like a full 10 minutes longer. And it feels so much like a slog, not because it's 10 minutes longer, but because nothing's as interesting. And again, this movie lives by its relationship between Rachel and Jamie. and
Yep.
they're so likable that they're consistently engaging. Character is very important in horror, and maybe they're not the they don't wax philosophical all the time and have these like crazy awesome character arcs and development the whole time, but they're very likable and enjoyable presences, and you don't want them to die. So every time they're in peril, it's very tense. I wish, because like Dwight H. Little, the guy who directed the movie, like one of the only other movies I know of that he's directed is a martial arts action film with Brandon Lee.
That's cool.
And it's just like he's really talented in the space of horror. Like this movie is great. More horror.
That's the biggest problem with a lot of these directors that did these 80s horror films, is that they only do like a few other things. And the coolest thing about that is, in this time period, they're like, hey, we'll just have these people that have no name attached to them, just give them this big project and see what they do. Because they're big now. Halloween and Friday the 13th, when they're coming out, they're not that popular. Like, we don't call them cult films nowadays because they're so prominent in pop culture, but when they're coming out, they're just trying to make some money. They didn't care who's directing it. Like, we know who's going to be attached to the next Halloween movie or the next Friday. And the directors have to have at least some name value or some connection to a general audience in some way.
Or they'll have a very strong producer on there that's going to handpick a director. So because it's handpicked by that producer, oh, this person must be talented. Like Fede Alvarez handpicked the guy who's doing the next Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Exactly.
Or Sam Raimi picked the person who's doing the next Evil Dead.
And
like he did with the remake.
Something that didn't really matter back then. They were just taking chances and having people try out stories. And with the stories that people are giving, they aren't fans of this franchise because it wasn't a franchise when it was coming out. They were just films, and they're trying to have fun and make fun films. And that's the biggest thing, is that we are trying to rip on franchises. We're trying to make things cash cows. When back in the day, they're not trying to make franchises. They're just taking what they have and saying, let's just try to make some fucking money and have some fun along the way. And that shows. And, when you're watching films nowadays that are horror films, especially franchises, you're like, this isn't very fun anymore. Not that they're bad films, don't get me wrong. It sounds like I'm attacking Halloween Kills with that, especially because it's not very fun. But they're good movies in different ways, though. Modern filmmaking is done so differently than filmmaking in the 70s and 80s. Am I saying one is better than the other? Not intentionally. I may prefer a certain version, but it's just they're drastically different. Yeah, they are better. It's better in the 80s. But no, there's different styles. Things are very different.
Everything about filmmaking in the 80s is better.
Except for the abuse to the cast members.
As I said, objectively not true.
Yeah.
But
yeah. So as a wrap up, you gave your thoughts on it. I'll finish up with saying, love 4. It still is, to this day, my second favorite Halloween. Sometimes it even beats the first one, because when you said to me, and to everybody else that's listening on this podcast, character is one of the most important things in horror, I would not only agree with you, I would wager saying it is the most important thing in horror. You can have one death in a horror movie, but as long as you care about the character that died, it's gonna matter.
I agree.
Look at The Stepfather.
Any kill in a movie.
Look at Psycho.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because it's like everybody talks about like this kill is super brutal, or this kill is like bloodless. If you care about the character, you don't care what happens to them.
Yeah.
As long as if it's a bad thing, it's bad. That's what matters.
Yeah, and you'll know when you talk to horror fans or in the horror community, people's opinions on what they like in horror are vastly different. But you and me always come at it from a very narrative perspective. If you don't like a character, you're not gonna like a movie at the end of the day. And that's why, to me, not just in horror, but almost anything, if you have bad characters, you're gonna have a bad movie. And I love the characters in 4. It really shines through, and I'm always going to come back and say, I love this movie, no matter what. And I really hope that everyone that's listening takes a chance and checks out Halloween 4. Obviously, you're going to have to watch the first 2, but you can skip 3 if you want. It's up to you. Different movie. Enjoy it for its own reasons, but check out 4. Keep an open mind and say, you know what? I just want to have a good time watching this movie, and I guarantee you, you're going to enjoy it. Now, for next week, we talk about Halloween 5. And let me tell you, I can't guarantee you're going to enjoy it. Tune in next week. That's all I'm going to have to say for now. Bye-bye.